Good morning everybody, and welcome to Jim's 5 a.m. Club. And today I come to you from just below the harbour bridge. We've got a ferry coming through to start the day. It's coming on to the last days of winter. The breeze has changed direction today. We've been having westerlies for quite a while, and now it's moved to a bit of a southerly there, so it's just blowing from the south. But another glorious morning. Spring's round the corner. You can feel it in the air. It's warmed up. It's going to be a mild day. I guess the only thing that's going to be uncomfortable will be a bit of that wind chill factor, but it should be pretty good. Thank you very much once again for joining me. I'm making good ground here with Jim's 5 a.m. Club, and for those who are interested, I've also launched a Jim's 5 a.m. Club, and I say it in Greek. So I've chosen to do a parallel 5 a.m. Club in Greek as well, to celebrate my culture, my heritage, to honour my parents and forefathers, and also to help me maintain my language, my Greek thought, and also to pass it on to future generations, to pass it on to my children, my grandchildren, and anybody else who wants to listen to it today or after I go. We don't know when that time will be, but yesterday up there on the bridge, round about there where the southern pylon is, there was a head-on collision and a lady lost her life, and there's 2 or 3 other people who were rushed to different hospitals, and they're battling for their lives as well at the moment. So you just never know when our end comes, but we need to live with hope and positivity, preparing for the best, or hoping for the best and preparing for the worst, just in case it ever comes about. So let's have a chat today. I want to have a chat to you about a topic which I've got near and dear to my heart. Let's do a walk and talk style of vlog, because I'm in my work clothes, so you don't want to see me dressed in my work clothes so early in the morning. So we'll do a walk and talk and head back to Circular Quay, and hopefully we'll see a couple of ferries pushing off and make it an interesting sort of morning. Anyway, today's talk that I want to have today is on leadership. I must admit, when I was a boy, I thought that the boss man, the leader, was a guy who just issued all the instructions, all the directives, and everybody else used to just follow. But with time, what I've realised is that to be an effective leader who is respected and loved, and basically a person who people want to work with, you need to be a captain coach. The same is if you want to run a family, you need to be the captain coach as opposed to the boss man. And I'll explain to you why it works and why it works better than any other model. When I was at IBM back in the mid 80s, IBM was the biggest and best company in the world, highly revered, and the sort of place that you'd want to work in. And anybody who worked at IBM, it was a golden era of employment, and an opportunity to grow, expand, and be the best version from a career perspective of yourself, because they offered tremendous training. And most importantly of all, what I learnt was that IBM had some great leaders, some great managers, some great directors, and they had an awesome philosophy, an awesome business philosophy, which sadly has disappeared. Even IBM today is not like IBM used to be, sadly. And I've worked at many other places, and they don't come close to the IBM of old. But let me just give you a couple of examples of the IBM and some other examples that I've seen along the way. I remember being a young executive working at IBM, and especially at month end, working in the accounting function, month end, quarter end, year end. It'd be a hard slog. You'd be working massive hours, and that was expected. You just couldn't go somewhere and hide and for somebody else to do your job. You were called upon to do your job, and you had to do it to the best of your ability, because that was the corporate culture. You just wanted to do it. You just wanted to be your best, do your best, because you knew that promotion was from within, and that if people respected you, if people saw the value that you brought, saw the professionalism that you exuded, then they'd want to have you on their team, and you would be growing and developing at a rapid rate. What a beautiful morning it is. Anyway, I remember working back one night, and it was fairly late, and then this fellow comes up behind me and says, "Thanks very much, James. I'm leaving now, I'm going home, but I appreciate everything you're doing, and thank you very much. And if there's anything you need, give me a call or give security a call." And I said, wow, that was Gary Webb. Gary Webb was the financial controller for IBM, a very, very senior manager, a manager who was well-renowned and a leader in his field. And I was just chuffed. I was absolutely chuffed to be working there and to have a man of his caliber, a leader of his caliber, actually come up to me, know my name, thank me, and basically tell me that he appreciated what I did. I mentioned to a couple of people, and I said, "Oh, Gary does that all the time." Before Gary Webb would leave work, he would walk around the office and talk to and thank and acknowledge every single person who was working back, every single person who was there after and who were going to be there after he left. That's the sort of leader he was. And that was the sort of leader that I said to myself, if ever I got to a position where I was in leadership, I'd want to be able to help the people around me, make them feel good about themselves, and treat them as equals. Just recently, I was working on a Mervac site. It was their biggest and best building site at Everleigh. I'll just change the topic now and talk about another leader. And it was their showcase site. It was $1 billion build, and it was the headquarters for the Commonwealth Bank, and just basically redeveloping and redesigning that whole area with some beautiful buildings, and a massive project which lasted 3 years. Anyway, on that project I met a fellow by the name of Warren, and I won't mention his surname for privacy reasons, but Warren was the site manager. He was responsible for the 4 buildings, for the 4 massive buildings that were being built there. And Warren was everywhere. Warren was a walker, and he'd be walking all day, observing, and on the move all day. And what I observed from Warren is that he had a brilliant leadership style. He, like other great leaders, led from the front. He was the sort of leader who would say, "Come and run with me." He wouldn't run behind you. He wouldn't run ahead of you, but he'd be running abreast with his team. He was absolutely brilliant. And I actually said to him one day, what I love about you, Warren, is that you practice what you preach, and you lead from the front. You lead from the front in terms of you're doing all the sorts of things and setting the standard for other people. He was the sort of person who would get to work very early, go and park his car as far away from the site as possible, and walk to the site. He wasn't the sort of leader who would expect people to have a parking spot there ready for him at the door, so as soon as he jumped out of the car, he just rolled into the office. He did the right thing. He set a standard. He set a standard which he expected other people to follow. And yet you had other people who worked for him, who were expecting, who lived with expectation that, that they could park anywhere they wanted. Whereas Warren would say, hey guys, go and park further away, come to work earlier, and come to work. He'd be the sort of guy who'd be walking along when people are not watching, and he'd be picking up papers, he'd be picking up rubbish. He'd be always looking for things to improve, for things that caused a hazard, for things that were dangerous. And he would never be angry, he would never be barking out instructions. It would all be pretty well organised. He'd work with his team, he'd collaborate, and basically get things done through people that as if they were part of his team, part of his family, and not that he was the boss man and everybody else was the worker. So the lesson here for young people is that whilst leadership is not a popularity contest, you do need to set a standard for people to follow. And the best way to understand it is that you need to be the captain and the coach of the team. You need to be able to take up the hard yards, take the ball, run hard. You need to tackle hard, but you also need to work on strategy and tactics, motivate the team, and make sure that each and every person in your team feels that they're part of the team, know what the expectations are, and basically, love being on the team. And I've got to tell you, over the years, there's been lots of good managers that I've worked with, but there've also been some hopeless ones that brought out the worst in their teams, but it was too late for them to find out and to understand. But anyway, so that's it for me today. Let's finish up with a positive affirmation. I'm alive, I am well, and I feel great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant, and most importantly of all, let's learn from Gary Webb, let's learn from Warren, that leadership is about being a captain and a coach. Lead from the front, set a standard, don't be ashamed to get your hands dirty, and be one of the boys, one of the girls, one of the team. And that way, you'll always have a place, you'll always fit in, and you'll always be respected. Take care until we chat again. Yasas from Jim's 5 a.m. Club, and we'll get together again tomorrow, 5 a.m. from a different location with a different message, but hopefully it'll all work for us. Yasas, bye for now.